We appreciate each and every last one of you for your patience. It's Wednesday, hump day, and you are locked and loaded on to the number one source, the hottest show on the streets here for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information. That being in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Very excited to have each and every last one of you tuning into the network channel, the show on today, as we are 10 days, folks, I can smell it. We are 10 days from Alabama, Missouri, 10 days from Crimson Tide football. We are A.J. McCarron, Reuben Foster, the senior year of J.K. Scott, as the punter did, we're number 10, his senior year at Alabama, and Mac Jones away from the Crimson Tide versus the Missouri Tigers, taking place on Saturday, September 26th, as Alabama will travel to Columbia, Missouri. But we got a lot to talk about on the show. As always, we're bringing this to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this on YouTube. Speaking of a channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, alerts, and updates on your favorite program, the Crimson Tide. But along with YouTube, we're streaming this on Facebook, so all my Facebook people out there, coming to you guys, and to all my Twitter people out there, coming to you as well. So we're streaming this YouTube, streaming this Facebook, streaming this Twitter, so no excuse for you not to be hooked on to the number one forum here for Crimson Tide football news. As always, it's a great joy to have the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio, my man John Ivory. NBA playoffs going smooth, NFL going great here on Monday. We got a taste of Derrick King Henry versus Jerry Juke Moves Judy. We had Titans versus Broncos on Monday Night Football. And despite Ryan Tannehill and the kicker, Stephen Gostkowski, you had Derrick Henry out there, 31 carries for $116, picking up where he left off of from his 2019 NFL rushing championship type of season. Henry helping the Titans to a 16-14 win over the Broncos. But this will be the last week of no Alabama football, of no SEC football. Next week, the pigskin, the gridiron game returns to the University of Alabama and to the SEC as a whole. And we want your energy today. We want your energy, your phone calls, your enthusiasm. We want you being a part of the show, and you can do this as the Alabama faithful by calling 205-448-1358. The number 2 call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We have a lot to get into. We have a lot to talk about. And we start the show off with this right here. So expect big improvement from the Alabama secondary this year. Expect big improvement. Now, to end last week's edition of shows on Friday of last week and to start this week's slate of material on Monday, we had a lot of conversation about the quarterback room for Alabama. Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Paul Tyson, how are they doing on the field? How have they performed in fall camp? How did they perform in the scrimmage, things of that nature. And it's fun to talk about the quarterbacks because it is a never-ending conversation. People will talk about this quarterback room from right now until kickoff and throughout the 2020 season, throughout this campaign. But wow, it's fun to talk about quarterbacks. It's exciting to talk about that particular room. After Monday's show, a lot of you out there were like, well, Stephen, quarterbacks, that's fun, that's intriguing, that's entertaining, but, no matter who wins the job at quarterback, they got the talent around them at running back, at receiver, of course, on the offensive line to have that success. The big question here, Stephen, the big inside scoop, the big thing people want to know is, will this secondary improve? Will the secondary not get abused the way it's been getting abused the last 2 seasons? Can the secondary go back to that no-fly zone mentality that, we as fans were excited about when we looked at guys like Eddie Jackson and Ronnie Harrison, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Marlon Humphrey? Can we get back to that no-fly zone type of secondary that was creating turnovers, creating interceptions, forcing fumbles, scoring off those types of plays. Will we see a much improved secondary for the Crimson Tide? And my answer to you is yes. And the reason why my answer is yes is because the best friend of a thriving, vibrant, exciting secondary is a consistent, tenacious, in-your-face pass rush. They go hand to hand. You cannot have one without the other. And the reason why, or part of the reason why, Alabama did not have the most dominant of secondaries the last 2 years is it didn't have the most dominant of pass rushers the last 2 years. So this time around, Alabama is going to have those guys that will get after the quarterback, whether it's LeBron Ray, whether it's DJ Dale, which we'll talk about him later on in the show, whether it's Christian Barmore or Byron Young or Justin Boygby, or whether it's your outside linebackers, Ben Davis, Chris Allen, Will Anderson, Drew Sanders. And Will Anderson, of course, there's been a lot of talk about Anderson, the freshman from Georgia, and the last 2 scrimmages combined, he posted 10 sacks. This is what I got according to people, sources, credible people I have spoken with, and has also been reported by numerous outlets. He had 10 sacks combined in 2 scrimmages. You've got parents of players from the 2020 class. You got mothers of players in that 2020 class that are saying, like, Will Anderson, this young man is not human. He is a wrecking ball. He destroys quarterbacks. So when you've got guys like Will Anderson, among others, that can affect the quarterback, that will affect the quarterback, that will not allow the signal caller to have time in that pocket to go through reads, dissect progressions, figure out where he wants to go to with the football. When you do not have that time in the pocket, then that's huge for the secondary to break on passes, to tip passes up in the air, to create those interceptions, those turnovers that can set up your offense either with a short field, or they can take those mistakes, cash in on those, and create those touchdown opportunities. So having the consistent, in-your-face, tenacious pass rush that goes hand in hand with having a vibrant, thriving secondary. But just getting into players in this defensive backfield. First and foremost, Patrick Surtain II, the junior at corner. He's played in 28 career games, 25 career starts. I think Surtain, this is the year he goes from good to great. He had a strong freshman year, and I feel like people forget about that. He made the All-SEC freshman team, the freshman All-SEC team. Had a great freshman year. This was a guy that not a lot of quarterbacks challenged his first year in 2018. As a matter of fact, he didn't really get challenged much until the Orange Bowl college football playoff semifinal against Oklahoma, where Coach Saban put him on CeeDee Lamb, and Lamb at 6'2". He's got some size, he's got incredible ability, but there were some moments in that game where CeeDee Lamb pushed off, and Patrick Surtain didn't get the call. Officials not throwing the flag, officials not in favor of Patrick Surtain in those moments. And when you're a big physical receiver, sometimes you get those calls, sometimes you get those breaks. But Surtain had a strong freshman year. Sophomore year, had a good year. And I feel like for a lot of times, U.S. fans and myself in the media, I enjoy Alabama football. I think sometimes we look at if a whole group is not being dominant, right? If a whole group is not being just flat out good, then we look for somebody to signal out as the person that you can place the blame on. And 9 times out of 10, if the blame was not going on Trayvon Diggs, it was going on Patrick Surtain II. But Surtain had a decent year, had a good sophomore season. But I feel like this year, he takes that step from good to great. He has seen his name on a bunch of these preseason All-America teams. He has seen his name on a bunch of these preseason award watch lists, and I think he knows that, okay, this is my moment. I'm not just a leader by example, but I'm a vocal guy. I'm a leader by production. I got to make sure that I'm handling my business on the right side of the field taking away the opponent's best receiver. So expect Surtain to take that jump from good to great. When you look at Josh Jobe and Marcus Banks here, this is a battle for that second corner spot, that left corner position. Now, Josh Jobe, Coach Saban talked about it. He's gotten a whole lot better at playing with emotion, but not being emotional, not allowing his passion to bleed into negative plays on the field. He's always been tough. He's always been physical. He's always been scrappy, but now his technique has come full surface to where he's playing with strong leverage. He's playing with strong eye coordination. He's playing really, really good football. So you got Joe, but then you got Marcus Banks, the redshirt freshman from Texas, came in to the 2019 class, and he had a great fall camp. When Josh Jobe was not out there on the field, it was Marcus Banks taking a lot of those first team reps. He's got size, he's got length, he's got athleticism, he's got toughness, he's got a full year in the system. So also keep your eyes there on Marcus Banks. When you look at Alabama at the safety position, there's no worries at safety. You got Jordan Battle and you got Daniel Wright. And Coach Saban loves both guys. The team loves both guys. When you look at Daniel Wright, here is his moment to be a big, big leader at that safety spot. He came in 2017, and he watched the great ones. He watched Minkah Fitzpatrick. He watched Ronnie Harrison. He watched Levi Wallace. He watched a lot of big-time playmakers come through this defensive secondary. So now it's his turn. He's played in 31 career games, hasn't started much in his career, but now it's Daniel Wright's time. When I look at Jordan Battle, he got big experience last year. Played in all 13 games, started in quite a couple of those, and for Battle, 30 tackles. He had 3 tackles for loss, had an interception last year. Jordan Battle, to me, out of St. Thomas Aquinas High School, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at 6'1", 210 pounds. Jordan Battle gives off Eddie Jackson meets Clinton Dix meets Deontay Thompson type of vibes here. He can play the ball, numbers to numbers, hash mark to hash mark. I remember I was at the Duke game last year to start the 2019 season, and Quentin Harris, Duke's quarterback, believes he's got a touchdown because the receiver on the play had Marcus Banks beat on the play. As you're watching this on screen here, Jordan Battle comes kind of from the other side, and he's able to jump back in the play and make a huge interception. You see the range, you see the athletic ability, you see the instincts, you see the ability to play the lower third of the field and attack the ball at its highest point. So there's no issues there with Jordan Battle as well, with his ability to play at that safety position, that free safety spot. But when you look at Alabama as a whole here for the upcoming season, I've taken the liberty to kind of break this down here. So I've got Alabama's base 3-4 defense in the secondary. It's nickel defensive look in the secondary, and it's dime look in the secondary. So check this out here. According to yours truly, this is my projected look here for Alabama's secondary. In the base 3-4, Patrick Surtain II will be at right corner. He'll be at right corner. That left corner spot, Josh Jobe will be the starter, but Marcus Banks, to me, will be first off the bench. Marcus Banks first off the bench, Josh Jobe starting corner on that left side. Your free safety, Jordan Battle. Your strong safety, Daniel Wright. That's pretty much self-explanatory. When you go into nickel here, when you go into that nickel package, a lot of this is the same. You still have Surtain at right corner, Josh Jobe at left corner with Marcus Banks behind him. You have both of your safeties, Daniel Wright and Jordan Battle. But at that nickel spot, Malachi Moore, the true freshman from Hewitt-Trussville High School in Alabama. Malachi Moore right now, to me, has the slight edge over Brian Branch. Now, Jalen Waddle loves Brian Branch. Jalen Waddle spoke to the media on Tuesday and said, this Branch kid, love him, love the physicality he plays with, love the toughness, love his competitiveness. The guy is a flat-up baller. The guy is going to be a superstar, a household name. And when you have Jalen Waddle, who primarily plays in the slot, now Alabama may move him around a bit more this year before a guy that primarily plays in the slot against the slot corner, the nickel, the star in Alabama's defense. For Jalen Waddle to say these types of things about Brian Branch, big deal right there. But right now, Malachi Moore, slight edge there over Brian Branch, but Branch right there with Malachi Moore. Your safeties are still, once again, Jordan Battle and Daniel Wright. Now, as we flip into the dime part of this, once again, obviously it's the same. Surtain at right corner, Job at left corner with Banks behind him. At star, you got Malachi Moore with Brian Branch behind him. Your safeties are still the same. But in that dime package, DeMarco Hellams is the starter in dime. At 6'1", 208 pounds, the young man from Washington, D.C., and he played both wide receiver and defensive back in high school. So Hellams was the backup to Xavier McKinney in the money role, in the dime spot a season ago. He's going to be the guy to anchor that role this year. Now, the question will be, who will come behind Hellams? Because Coach Saban talked about he likes the group he's got in nickel, very confident with that group. And if Alabama can get the best guys on the field in nickel instead of dime, then Alabama will run more nickel. But when you look at Nick Saban, this defense is about being multiple, having different looks, confusing the opposing offense. So behind DeMarco Hellams, you've got Brian Branch, who's working at dime as well. But you also have guys like Eddie Smith on the team, Jalen Armour-Davis on the team, Ronald Williams Jr., the JUCO corner on the team that's been working the dime a little bit, Brandon Turnage. Will he be exclusively a safety, or do you want to work him in at dime as well? So Alabama's got multiple players that can put out there in that dime package. The big thing here with Coach Saban is getting the best 5 to 6 guys, the best 4 to 6 guys on that field in the secondary, and trusting that all of these players can play winning football. Going back to something I mentioned on last week, and we'll start off on Monday with the coronavirus in here. Coach Saban trying to make sure he's prepping every single player on the team to be versatile, to be diverse, to learn multiple positions, because if somebody wants to go down, you want to be able to go to your bench, pull somebody off, and trust that individual player to play winning football and be productive out there on the field. So for me, expect this group to be much improved. The secondary will be much improved. You're going to have the pass rush, getting after the quarterback consistently. So these guys in the secondary will be able to break on the ball, create turnovers, break up passes, force fumbles, being able to sort of fly around the field there. We take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting you started here. Upon our return, it's time to entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions and concerns about the Tide right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in here, folks, from the break on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets. Number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Very happy, thrilled to have each and every last one of you tuning in to the show as we are 10 days, count them, 10, from Alabama, Missouri to start the college football season for the Crimson Tide. And before we go to the phone lines right now, because we're on you, Crimson Tide Nation, gotta shout out the man Marcus Davis. The man Marcus Davis dropping in that $9.99 via the super chats, helping us out here on TDA. Appreciate the love there coming from Marcus Davis. But It's your time, Tide Nation. 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. And we start things off with the man, Senator Hines. Senator, my brother, what's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. Everything's going pretty well right now with the circumstances, man. But I'm happy about football still, man. It's a great day, great time to be alive. And we coming up on the start of the season, kicking off this season, man. And I'm excited about, going to beat up on Missouri, man. And just that secondary you was talking about, that's why I was calling in to talk about today, man. Our secondary, I've been hearing a lot of good things, man. Not just from TDA, but even from NFL scouts that have been putting word out about some of our young secondary that are starting to catch eyes early in their careers. Everybody thinks Patrick Surtain is the guy, but I've been hearing about Battle and DeMarco Helms holding down that backside pretty strong in the past few in this past week's scrimmage, and just the depth that we have at defensive back. We have young talent, and with not being able to have a spring. I think that's going to play into our advantage this season because it's like we didn't have a spring ball and had to rush a fall camp. So did other teams. All of our competition had to do the same. And so we don't get to start off with a warm-up cupcake game. We get those guys thrown into the fire with some, I guess you could say, some decent talent in Missouri. I'm not sure how much offense they're returning from last year, but I think this is going to be the first 2 or 3 games is going to be great matchups for our young secondary to get into game speed and pick up on some things really fast, man. How you feel about that?
True. I mean, the one guy I know Missouri returns offensively is the running back, Nary Roundtree, who's pretty good. And at that running back position, that goes to Alabama's defensive front. Got to be able to control him and contain and tackle him, especially after last year where Alabama had some struggles against South Carolina's Rico Dowdle. Of course, LSU's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Larry Roundtree is kind of built like those two guys. So being able to recognize where he is, break down, make the fundamentally sound tackle, in space. So that's basically for the defensive front group. But in the secondary, I like the talent of the secondary. I mean, you mentioned Jordan Battle. Marcus Banks has come alive, in this fall camp. Brandon Turnage has done, some really good things. Brian Branch and Malachi Moore as freshmen have done really, really well. I mean, DeMarco Helms has been handling that money position in the dime and can play some safety also. I thought the biggest thing here with Coach Saban, right, is having the 4 to 6 guys he can trust to get out there on that field and know what you're doing, be effective in what you're doing, and dominate in what you're doing. So, I mean, he trusts Surtain at one corner. He likes what Job can give him at another corner. The 2 safeties, I've heard nothing but great things about Battle and Daniel Wright. It's just now, when you get into these sub packages, these nickel and dime sub packages, who can show Nick Saban, you can trust me, coach, I can play winning football for you right now. I feel like Saban is starting to find a couple of those guys. He's just trying to find a few more.
Yeah, man. And I feel exactly the same, man. I think this is the perfect season to watch our young defensive backs grow up. But I'm going to let you go, man. I just want to give a shout-out to my family, the Gillis and Hines family that's listening in Montgomery, Alabama. We lost our aunt this past Sunday, diehard Roll Tide fan. We plan on doing her homegoing service this Sunday. So just wanted to give a shout-out to all my family that's listening and all the Roll Tide Nation that's ever showed Alabama much support. My aunt was a diehard fan, man, and she died an Alabama fan. I know she's in heaven, going to be cheering for our boys on these coming up Saturdays, man. But y'all boys just stay up, man, and Roll Tide in the chat room, y'all. Y'all stay up.
Appreciate the love there, Senator. Thank you so much, man. Gotta always enjoy Senator Hines. Bear, TDA, we send out our condolences to him, as well. We can look at here, got some super chats to shout out here. Willie351 dropping in that 777, the super chats, helping us out there on YouTube. And also Wayland, the MVP, the TDA president here of the whole fan club. Wayland dropping in that 199 there via the super chats as well. Appreciate Willie351 and Wayland helping us out here on the show. And as always, you have a thought or concern, 205-448-1358. This is your time to do it. This is your show to do it. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you. And as you're getting your thoughts together here, so how about the Big Ten? The Big Ten, who chose to originally cancel its football season for 2020. It seems like Commissioner Kevin Warren has had a change of heart. Yeah, change of heart here. So the Big Ten decided today, according to Pat Ford of Yahoo Sports, the Big Ten has decided that they're going to have a football season, and they will have it on October 24th. They will start the season on October 24th. So the Big Ten will have 8 games in 8 weeks. 8 games through 8 weeks. Now, I don't know if that's good enough to have a conference championship game. Probably not, but not sure. I definitely am sure of this is not going to be enough to get them into the college football play. I'm just sorry. This is definitely not enough to get the Big Ten into the college football playoff with the 8 games in 8 weeks. I mean, you're starting behind everybody else. You're starting way behind everybody else. So, I'm happy for Justin Fields of Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for a lot of talented players in that conference that are looking to create a huge draft stock for themselves. I'm happy about that they're playing football. But, the Big Ten jumped the gun way too early on this thing. And now that they're seeing how, okay, we're looking at these other conferences having success, playing football because they chose to keep the full season, but just push the start of the season back. And then now this is the move by the Big Ten to go to October 24th. Happy for Justin Fields and everybody, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because it's going to be rough trying to have a Big Ten championship game. It's going to be even more puzzling to try to create a college football playoff scenario here for the Big Ten Conference. But before we take our next break here, got another super chat to shout out. Senator Hines, my man Senator Hines, dropping in that $14.99 via the super chat, Senator Hines. And Spencer Reveley, one of our faithful listeners, dropping in that cool $10 there. So appreciating Senator Hines and Spencer Reveley helping us out here on TDA on a Wednesday. We're taking another break right here, folks, but don't touch that dial. When we get back, we're going to touch on the Alabama running back room. Saban loves the depth that he's popping out with this year. We talk running backs after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We poppin', and yes, we are poppin' back in from the break here, folks, on the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news on a Wednesday. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And got to remind you, if you haven't done so already, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to turn all of those notifications on. So that way you have the best in coverage, commentary, entertainment on your Crimson Tide. As always, it's great to have the man, John Ivory, the man, the myth, the legendary, the maestro in that production studio. But after talking secondary to start the show here, we look at the Alabama running back room, and this is a room that Coach Saban is very proud, very excited, very joyous to have and be around. Going back to the final scrimmage of preseason camp last week, Coach Saban mentioned how, he loves the offensive line, that he does, loves the running backs, that he does, spoke highly of the quarterbacks, which he did, but he talked about this running back room, big talent, big depth, big ability, big versatility, big playmaking type room here at the running back position. And I know, Steve Sarkisian, offensive coordinator, talked about we're trying to rotate as many running backs as we can this year. We want to keep Najee Harris fresh for the big moment, second half of the season. We want to keep Najee Harris fresh for LSU. Keep him fresh for Auburn. Keep him fresh for the SEC championship game should Bama get in there. Keep him fresh for the college football playoff. Keep him fresh for the big moments. Throw Georgia in there as well. But this is a very talented, a very dynamic running back room, especially when you have an offensive line the way Alabama has, blocking for these guys, setting these guys up for success. Once again, going back to the final preseason scrimmage, I was told as good as Brian Robinson and Najee Harris are, Trey Sanders cut the buck. Trey Sanders went stone crazy in that second scrimmage. The brother just went off running up and down the field in that second preseason, in that second scrimmage of fall camp, and then was told that Jace McFarland had a big day. He had a rushing touchdown. So all of these backs bring something different, bring something special, bring a different type of element to the table here. So as we break them down, all six, the first two, we know them, Najee Harris, Brian Robinson Jr., these two are the veteran guys, right? These two are the ones that played a lot of football. Najee Harris, self-explanatory. Came in as a 5-star freshman in 2017 from California. Mr. Football in the state. Very big deal. Last year, especially down the stretch of last year, things started to click for him. He became one of the more complete running backs in the conference and in college football, period. Harris's first 1,000-yard season, his first 1,200-yard season, 1,224 yards, 13 touchdowns. He had 6 100-yard games a season ago, 4 of those against SEC opponents. So you know what you're getting here with Najee Harris, and he's been working his tail off this offseason, whether it's been with Brad Lester, whether it's been with Derek Blaylock, who played in the NFL. Najee's got his Heisman campaign videos going on his YouTube channel, so that's Najee. Also, when you look at Brian Robinson, veteran guys, played a lot of football, had 441 yards rushing last year, improved on his numbers from the previous season. He's actually improved the speed, working with one Dr. Matt Ray. Brian Robinson has gotten faster, has definitely improved that speed. He's actually getting looked at, evaluated right now by the Las Vegas Raiders. If you saw on social media last week, Brian Robinson's high school coach at Hillcrest, Coach Sam Adams, he posted a tweet. We posted a status to Twitter on, there was an evaluation letter on his desk from the Raiders organization with Brian Robinson's name on it. So the Raiders are already looking there at B-Rob, and this is a big, huge year for him. I know a lot of you guys are wondering about Keelan Robinson. He has not been at practice since fall practice kicked off on August 17th. Now, there were some rumors going around on maybe he may opt out, maybe he may not play this year. According to Nick Saban, nobody has opted out, but you can clearly see there is a bunch of concern because since fall camp has started and now fall camp basically concluded here as Alabama getting ready for Missouri, Robinson has not been on the field. He's not been featured in any of the videos. Hopefully everything is okay with him, but Keelan, of whom had a productive freshman year, 2 rushing touchdowns, but 2 longest touchdown runs by a running back, and in 2019 just has not been at practice. But when I get some confirmed information on what on what's the final move for Keegan Robinson. I will definitely get that information out there to you guys. But that's the news there on Keegan. But getting back into the running back room, you know what Najee Harris and Brian Robinson can do, but the electric wild card is Trey Sanders. This is the electric, entertaining wild card right here. And I mentioned it, had a big second scrimmage there for the Crimson Tide. The burst is right there. The speed is right there. The athleticism is right there. The diversity is right there. The versatility is right there. Going back to something that Steve Sarkisian mentioned early in fall camp, Trey Sanders is very explosive, and you are not going to be able to keep him off the field. That ball will be in his hands. He's back 100% healthy from the foot injury he suffered in August camp of 2019. If not for that injury, he would have been taking carries away from Najee Harris and Brian Robinson. So Trey, this is the electric wild card here for this team. He will be on the field. And then you got three freshmen here, three talented freshmen: Roydell Williams, Jace McClellan, and Kyle Edwards. I mean, all three of these guys, Coach Saban loves all three of these guys. And all three of them will have situations to be successful on special teams, especially with the depth that Alabama's got at running back, at wide receiver, and on positions defensively. But the question will be, of these three guys right here, who will be the one to get more carries, more opportunities out the backfield at the running back position? Because they all bring something different here. McClellan is your speed guy. He's your burst guy. He's your home run hitter, right? Roydell Williams, kind of your speed and power guy, tough in between the tackles, can bounce plays outside. Really good pass blocker. That's Roydell Williams. Kyle Edwards, to me, he's kind of a bigger back, kind of a bulldozer type guy, can run guys over. That's kind of what Kyle Edwards does. So all three of them bring something different. Just going to be fun to see, of the three, which one kind of joins the other three of Harris, Robinson, and Trey Sanders, and getting some carries here at the running back position. But the big thing here about this running back room for Alabama, this is the most talent from top to bottom. This is the most talent Alabama has had in a room since the 2013 season, before the Exodus happened. Now, the running back room in 2013, if you remember this, 2013 had almost like a god-like running back room. 2013 did. When you look at TJ Yeldon, Kenyon Drake, and those two are the veterans. Derrick Henry was the exciting wild card as a freshman. But you had Alvin Kamara, Alti Tenpenny, and Tyron Jones. All six of those had something different. All six of those guys were big-time dudes. And man, they all brought something different to the table. And it's just kind of crazy how, TJ Yeldon was kind of your complete package type of guy. Kenyon Drake was your burner. Derrick Henry, big guy, could run guys over, but had that surprising speed to have folks go, oh, he's 6'3", 240 pounds, and he's got speed? Okay. And then you had Alvin Kamara, kind of your shifty guy. You had Alti Tenpenny, that had a bit of speed and power. And then you had Tyron Jones. When Tyron Jones would come into games, he kind of gave me Mark Ingram vibes, if you will, because he had a shiftiness. He had an ability to stick one cleat in the ground and cut in the hole, or cut off the left tackle or off the right tackle and just get up and down the field. Like, Tyron Jones had some Mark Ingram kind of in his game. So all six were big time. And then, of course, the Exodus happened. You had Alvin Kamara transfer out of Alabama to go take the JUCO route, and then he ended up at Tennessee to play for then-coach Butch Jones and the Volunteers prior to Jones becoming an analyst at Alabama. You had Alti Tenpenny, who transferred out of the program, did the JUCO thing. He wanted to come back to Alabama. God rest his soul, the young man passed away in a tragic one-man car crash back in 2015. That was horrible horrible what happened to the Tenpenny. And then, of course, Tyron Jones ended up getting dismissed from the program for all field issues. And it was just, Yeldon, Drake, and Henry and Henry would go on to win the Heisman Trophy in the 2015 season. So it's just awesome to kind of remember how deep and how talented that running back room was in the 2013 season. But this group right here, just as talented, if not more talented. This group right here, just as deep. And this group right here, very hungry group right here. This group has come in competing with everybody, pushing everybody, challenging everybody. Najee Harris was told by Coach Saban, hey, we're going to give you every single chance, every single opportunity to hit on the goals that you have for this season if you choose to come back, which he did. Brian Robinson Jr. has gotten with Dr. Ray, has gotten his speed in line, and he looks to show that he has gotten better in that area. Trey Sanders is saying, hey, when I was a freshman, I told the world I was going to win the Heisman, and I still have every intention on doing that. And you have the three freshmen in here and have every intention of, when they get the ball in their hands, what they want to do with it and making those big plays there. So this is the one time where I don't envy Steve Sarkisian. I really don't. Now, can I envy his 3-year extension and the money he's getting? More than likely, yeah, definitely. But I don't envy this situation right here when you look at you're trying to juggle the ability to want to pass the football with the quarterback room that you have and with the wide receivers that Alabama has recruited consistently now versus, the offensive line that you have full of veterans, the running backs that you have that have, veteran leadership and also young talent, and they want the ball as well. Don't envy Steve Sarkisian in this sense, but I honestly feel like he will do the right thing here and having that balance and controlling that balance and instituting that balance and making sure whomever touches the football for the Crimson Tide, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the running backs, whether it's the wide receivers or tight ends, everybody who touches that football will be a threat to score, will be a threat to move the chain, will be a threat to run over, embarrass, abuse, humiliate a defensive player on the opposite side of the football. But Coach Saban, happy about the depth he's got at running back. I'm excited with the depth he's got at running back. A lot of talent on this group. Going to be fun to watch how these guys perform. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, though, because when we get back, we get into more of your phone calls, thoughts, tweets, texts, chats, questions. Time to have a dialogue with your boy after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information as we are 10 days away from Crimson Tide versus Missouri. Football is in here, baby. Last week without Alabama football, last week without SEC football. As of next week, it will be Crimson Tide, Missouri Tigers to start Alabama's 2020 campaign. But it's your time, Bama fans, your time, Tide Nation. 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you wondering? What are your ideas and concerns when it comes to Alabama football. But got a few super chats here to shout out here. First off, Marcus Davis again. Marcus Davis coming back in here, dropping that $4.99 via the super chats, helping us out here at TDA. Appreciate the love there, Marcus. Senator Hines coming back with that $4.99, helping us out here on TDA. Appreciate that, Senator. And Senator also returns with $2.99. So, Senator Hines helping us out there. Senator and Marcus Davis showing us that love here via the super chats for Touchdown Alabama Magazine on the show. But once again, 205-448-1358, folks. Number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. Definitely want to hear from you. You can also leave a voicemail with that number and text with that number as well. But as you guys are getting your thoughts together, cool topic right here. How about this? 3 former Alabama players, 3 former Crimson Tide standouts have been nominated for the 2021 Pro Football Hall of Fame. 3 former Alabama players nominated for the 2021 Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those 3 guys: Sean Alexander, Sweet Feet at running back; Cornelius Biscuit Bennett, the man who laid the big sack on Notre Dame quarterback, former Notre Dame quarterback Steve Berline. So Cornelius Bennett, and also Chris Samuel, one of the best offensive linemen to ever put on the Crimson and White. So Sean Alexander, Cornelius Bennett, and Chris Samuel, all 3 of these guys have been nominated to go into have been nominated for the 2021 class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that's awesome there, because all 3 of those young men, great guys. Great guys, great players, great athletes, represented the university in a first-class way. Sean Alexander was fantastic. As great as Mark Ingram was, right? Mark Ingram, Heisman Trophy winner. Derrick Henry, Heisman Trophy winner. Both of those 2, special place in my heart right here, especially Derrick Henry, because I covered that 2015 Heisman Trophy winning season from start to finish. A lot of Alabama running backs have a place in my heart, but Sean Alexander came when I was growing up, as an avid enjoyer of Alabama football, and he came at a time where, Alabama football wasn't all of that really sexy. It was good, but it was not really up there like it typically is. And Alexander did a great job putting that team on his back, and carrying that team. And Cornelius Bennett, we know what he did as a defensive player when you had him and Derek Thomas and Keith McCants, and the list goes on. I mean, that was the original giant wall of "you don't want to mess with me." That was the original giant wall right there. So Cornelius Bennett, before Derek Thomas came in, this was your all-time sack leader. This was your ultimate All-American. This was your ultimate Lombardi Award winner and Nagurski Award winner and all those types of awards. Yeah, Cornelius Bennett was racking those in. And then, of course, Chris Samuel, who was one of the offensive linemen blocking for one Sean Alexander. It's great to see all 3 of those guys get this opportunity to be nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the class of 2021. Another super chat shout out here. Spencer Everly, the man Spencer Everly, one of our faithful listeners, coming back with a cool $2 there, a cool $2 there. Appreciate that from Spencer. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial though, because when we get back, we dive into DJ Dale. It's something about defensive linemen that come from the Birmingham area that are beasts at Alabama by their second year, and they go on to be big in the NFL. DJ Dale's the next in line. We'll talk about him after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in, folks, on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets here. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating you guys for checking us out on today. All of your chats in the YouTube chat line, people chiming in. Really, really appreciate that. Now, before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of this right here. You are a die-hard Alabama football fan, right? Of course you are. Die-hard fan, you love it, you eat it, you breathe it, you sleep in it, you two-step in it. You're probably doing the Cupid Shuffle in it right now. I'm going to get you to this right now. You got to go to tdawear.com. Go to tdawear.com where you can purchase some merch here for your Crimson Tide and showing support here for the university, for the coaching staff, for the players, whether you like shirts, hoodies, regardless of the ordeal here. You want some Alabama football merch, you got to go to tdawear.com. That's tdawear.com. Treat yourself right, supporting the Alabama football program, the coaching staff, and the student athletes here in Tuscaloosa. But as of right now, we've talked about the secondary, we've talked about the running backs. Time to look at the defensive line here. Alabama's got a fantastic defensive line, let me tell you. Coach Saban talked about this group becoming more physical just due to you're competing against a great, big, physical offensive line with veterans every day. But Saban proud of the physicality that this defensive front is showing more of. And you've got LeBron Ray on this line. You've got Christian Barmore on the line. You've got Justin Boygby and Byron Young and Stephon Wynn, who's finally starting to wake up and play some good football here. You've got, other guys on this line. So got a number of different guys here on this line that look to pressure the pocket, hit the pocket, play winning football, create sacks, be dominant, stop the run, all those things. But the biggest name here on this line to me that's about to take a huge jump as a sophomore, DJ Dale. DJ Dale, the pride of Birmingham, played at Clay Chalkfield High School. And is it me, or has Birmingham become kind of the factory for, if you want to be a defensive lineman, defensive tackle, defensive player that becomes huge in the NFL, be a first-round draft pick, dominate the league, you got to go to Alabama. I mean, Birmingham has become a factory for these defensive linemen, these defensive players. I mean, first case in point here, you look at Marcel Darius, right? Marcel Darius, the pride of Huffman High School, came to Alabama 2008, played from 2008 to 2010. 2009, the guy was an animal, freak show. Marcel Darius, 33 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries. He was the guy that knocked Colt McCoy out of the game. Knocked Colt McCoy out the game in the national championship matchup against Texas. And he was also the guy that became the MVP because he picks off Garrett Gilbert, the backup quarterback, and does a spin-moving pirouettes. He does a pirouette at 300-plus pounds and goes to the end zone. Marcel Darius, at the pride of Huffman High School, the school that our own John Ivory hails from, Huffman High School in Birmingham there. So behind Marcel Darius, you had Deron Payne. Deron Payne, the pride of Shades Valley High School in the Birmingham area. And he played from 2015 to 2017. Deron Payne, sophomore season, 36 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hurries, helped that team get to the national championship game. Heartbreaking loss to Clemson, but that's besides the point there. Deron Payne had a big second year. Quentin Williams, the pride of Winona High School in the Birmingham area. Quentin Williams, 2018, his second year on the field. The brother went beast mode, the 300-pound bar of soap, as people like to call him. 71 tackles, 19.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 12 quarterback hurries, just went beast mode crazy in 2018. Did Quentin Williams. And then you have Quentin Dow. Now, Quentin Dow is from Andalusia, Alabama, but he went to Clay Chalkfield High School in the Birmingham area. He did the JUCO thing, went to junior college in Mississippi, but he played 2 years with Alabama, 2011 and 2012. The 2012 year, Dow, 21 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries. So you get the point here. The Birmingham area has produced big-time prospects from the defensive line. And all of these guys went on to play pro ball. And a few of these guys, when you look at Marcel Darius, Deron Payne, and Quentin Williams, all were high first-round draft picks. So when you look at DJ Dale here, Dale last season, as a freshman, 6'3", 307 pounds here, 4-star, 17 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, had 1 sack, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Played in 10 games, missed the last 3 because of a knee injury. Back this year, back fully healthy. Now, Dale, he may not need to be much of a talker on that defensive line. He communicates. Doesn't need to be much of a talker because you've got LeBron Ray and Christian Barmore. But this is the season for DJ Dale as a sophomore to fall in line with everybody else and get those numbers up, get that production increased here in his second year. Now, according to Deontay Brown, Cornbread Brown here, the Alabama offensive lineman, said, look, y'all, DJ is a stout human being. He is very physical at the point of attack. I mean, this is a guy that has an IQ that's off the charts. Somebody sent me a video after one of the Alabama practices. And in this video, it's literally DJ Dale taking Landon Dickerson and Deontay Brown and moving them both 5 yards back into the quarterback. That was DJ. No joke. Somebody sent me a video. It's DJ Dale, literally, with Landon Dickerson in one arm, Cornbread in the other arm. That's literally almost 800 pounds in both arms. And DJ Dale is literally maneuvering both guys 5 yards backwards into the quarterback. Dale ain't playing this year. He is not playing around this year. And this is somebody that came in on the north side of 330 pounds, last year. He got with my man, Leonard Stevens of Step by Step Performance Training in Birmingham, got that weight down to 308, was a beast in fall camp last year, played well, got hurt, but now he's feeling healthy. The rehab was strong. He's about to do some things in this upcoming season. Christian Barmore, good. LeBron Ray, good. Got a lot of guys on this defensive line that are great, but keep your eyes on DJ Dale, ready to take that next step there, following in the lineage of Birmingham prospects on the defensive line. But you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage, ladies and gentlemen, on your Crimson Tide. It's very easy to get this. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You can download it from your iPhone app store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we have you covered on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, school is back in. Get that work done. Continue to do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Be sure to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spit in my own words.